Hi guys. Question. I think by the time I get done with this, you will have a better understanding of what my opinion, and it's just an opinion. And I know a lot of people share this with me. A lot of people that are more strict like me share this like me. Um, are you keto or are you in ketosis? Is the topic. And I just kind of wrote some stuff down that I want to read it so I didn't start rambling like I do sometimes. Um, when I started my keto journey, I knew I needed to change, and if I continued to stay my path, I was doomed. If I started with learning first, weeks of scouring pages, Facebook groups, looking up blogs, different post by post, talking to different people just to get their opinions on what keto was, looking up books, trying to find facts, trying to find studies, trying to figure out what exactly am I doing. I was low carb, but I had no idea about keto. I mean, I had an idea. I had an idea, but I didn't know exactly what it was, and I needed to learn more. My journey started almost 23 months ago. I wanted to do of me that I possibly could because my life had been in shambles. I was suffering from PTSD, anxiety, depression. I was losing my way in life, and I needed a new start. I knew that there were other people just like me out there, but at the time I didn't have anybody to talk to or anybody that could help me relate. I was on my own. I had started a new job. I moved from my house out in the country where I was basically in solitary confinement. It was just me, the dog, my land, my gardens, and there were no neighbors that were close by. I lived a very secluded life. I needed change. I moved to a big city for my new job. I started seeing different options for fast food joints. I started seeing different options for venues that I can go. I could spend my time out. My life was changing slowly, but the one thing that wasn't changing is the fact that my health was still in shambles and I had nowhere to go. So I decided to take control of my life. I joined a gym and I started researching keto. As I said, I scoured pages. I looked at recommendations. I found Dr. Berg, Dr. Eric Westman, Dr. Jason Fung, Jimmy Moore. I found tons of people that were keto, and they all seemed to pretty much stay on the same page. They all seemed to pretty much give the same recommendations. In a nutshell, keto was a certain type of way. There were parameters that you would stay in. There were things that you would make sure you did to make yourself the most successful that you could possibly be. But as humans, we don't like change. But when it comes to our food, we need a variety. This is the ironic part in life. We don't like change, but we need a variety in our food. I think if it was the other way around, we might be a little bit more successful. Variety in food is what causes people to have a lot of mishaps. It's what causes people to they end up getting sick. They end up getting into inflammatory situations. They don't know what caused it because they're actually getting into too many different processed foods, too many different types of refined sugars, too many different types of foods that they just don't have any information on. But yet we continue to seek out different variety, different foods, things that we don't have, which is normal. But the ironic part is we don't like change in our life, but we do like a variety and change in food. So my first story that I ran into was a story. I joined Keto Connect. They were the first group I ran into. They were the biggest group and probably still one of the biggest groups on Facebook. I was sitting in a chat, basically a question that was asked. I was sitting in this chat little group and people were talking about electrolyte recommendations. I heard, or what I was reading was an admin recommending somebody that was diabetic that did have high blood pressure and stuff, 7,000 milligrams plus of sodium. Now, mind you, the backstory on me is I had always been fascinated with health. I had always been fascinated with what the body needs and what it doesn't need. And I do know that sodium does play a big part in how your heart functions. Potassium plays a big part in how your heart functions. And for me to sit here and watch two admin tell somebody that was so severely sick right off the bat, 7,000 milligrams plus of sodium, I was devastated. I felt terrible for this person. I knew deep down, no matter if it was keto or not, starting somebody off that was that sick with such a high milligram of sodium was probably very dangerous. You don't you can't just blanket statement tell somebody I add as much salt as I want, so you should do the same thing too. And this was the situation. This is what was going on. Now, Keto Connect, the creators are phenomenal people. I actually had direct contact with Keto Connect, and I could send messages back and forth. A friend of mine was one of their admins. I became very good friends with her after a while, but I couldn't stay in the group. Too many recommendations were flying around. Too many people were acting like keto Nazis. The keto police was coming out of the woodwork sometimes, and then sometimes they wouldn't. It was sending a bad message to me. I just didn't know which way to go. What was I to do? One person says you can do this, one person says you can't do that. But the one thing that I did find is the creator's recommendations always stayed pretty much in line. This is where I kind of parted ways with Keto Connect. I'm not bashing them at all. They're phenomenal people. They actually have a recipe book out that is a phenomenal recipe. They've also did a segment with Jimmy Moore in his Living La Vida Low Carb show where he does his podcast and stuff. They are very big. I've just got to the point where I cannot focus on somebody else's keto group. I cannot go to their group and expect recommendations to be on par. I have to focus on me. I have to focus on my life. I have to focus on looking up information for myself, and I have to get the information for my own. I cannot blame it on somebody else for giving me a bad recommendation. I have to figure that out on my own. I'm the only person to blame for that. So a YouTube, a Facebook group, an article that's posted, I can't hold anybody accountable because I'm the one choosing to do it. I started to crave treats. I fixed it with electrolytes. Almost 99.9% of the time when people say I need fat bombs, I need this, I need that, I'm craving chocolate, I'm craving this, many of the professionals that we watch have even stated in their videos, when you crave things 99.9% of the time, especially Dr. Berg, it is an electrolyte deficiency. It is a deficiency that nobody knows but you. You have to figure it out. So if you're craving magnesium, maybe it's chocolate. If you're craving potassium, maybe it's in a product that you... Or if you're craving something that has potassium and you're just not picking up that that's normally where you get the bulk of your potassium. That may be where it's coming from. So I started figuring these things out. Well, chocolate, if I'm craving chocolate, then maybe I should have some magnesium. I would have some magnesium and it would go away. I would crave something that would have potassium. I would have some light salt water and it would go away. I would crave things and I would think that it was sweets, fat bombs, bulletproof coffees, things of this nature, and it would cure it in the meantime, but the cravings would come right back. When I simply had to dip into the memory bank, the smart bank, the research bank, and go back to all the things over the last few months that I had learned and realized these were electrolyte deficiencies. Once I figured this out, the cravings were all related to something that I was just not putting in my body, and I started putting it in my body, even a little bit over, which wasn't harmful to me because I was fixing my medical condition. At this point, my doctor took me off my blood pressure medication, took me off my, he took me out of a category where I wasn't pre-diabetic anymore. Now, here's the thing where I start talking about, here's where I start talking about, are you keto or are you in ketosis? This is a very important part. Today on Jimmy Moore's group, I had posted, are you keto or are you in ketosis? On my Facebook group, Keto Nation Official, I posted, are you keto or are you in ketosis? I posted a series of 4 questions asking people what they thought keto was. This is what the responses that I got were quite shocking, were really quite shocking. And this is what I don't understand. Every single person that responded almost had the same generic answer. The same generic, uneducated answer that I just don't get. Well, if I can have the keto products that are processed and they're packaged and everything else, and I'm producing ketones, well, then I must be keto. Another person said, well, if I can put sweet potatoes and carrots and things like that in my body and still be in ketosis, well, I must be keto. And this is a very smart woman that said this. One that I'm often getting into little debates back and forth with. I'm not going to mention anybody's name because I don't do that. The only way I would ever mention anybody's name is if my name was being put on the line. There were several other people in the group that just said, I could eat whatever I want as long as I'm still producing ketones. I'm keto. But the ones that I respected the most were the ones that actually put in the effort, that replied with, no, that's not what it is for me. I don't think any of these people are right. I think keto is a whole food based diet. It is everything that you put into it. Do I want to heal myself? Am I just doing this for weight loss? Am I just doing this temporarily? Am I not putting my all into this? Then maybe I'm in ketosis. But I'm keto if I'm very cognizant of what I put in my mouth. I'm very cognizant of what is in my food. I'm very cognizant of staying away from the different types of oils that are hydrogenated and stuff in my products that I eat. This is where you start figuring out, are you keto or are you just in ketosis? Are you serious or are you just doing this for the temporary gratification of weight loss? In my personal opinion, I feel like people that are in ketosis are people that want to try out all the keto treats. They want to smack themselves full of artificial sweeteners. They want all the diet sodas in the world. You know, they want to make excuses for those vices that they have. Yes, I will have a diet soda from time to time, but I've cut it out almost completely. I will not drink bulletproof coffee anymore. Very rarely will I ever drink bulletproof coffee. I'll post a video in the link after this video is over. And it was a girl that went keto. She got some bad information. She was following the wrong people. And she ended up in the hospital because she was having 500 calorie keto coffees in the morning and in the afternoon. She was having fat bombs that were, 140, 150 calories. The bulk of everything that she was putting in her mouth, fat-wise, did not come from fat that was attached to her food. It came from fat that she was drinking liquid. Liquid fat is what she was drinking. So she ended up in the hospital. They tested her for every single thing that they could possibly test her for to figure out why she was passing out. They couldn't find anything wrong with her other than you don't have enough minerals in your body, you don't have enough electrolytes in your body, you're not consuming enough carbs to actually help sustain your hydration levels and your electrolyte levels. Well, she said her boyfriend was in the waiting room and said, well, she's been on that keto diet. And the doctor said, oh my God, tell me what you've been eating. And she said, well, I have bulletproof coffee in the morning with 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, which is good saturated fat. I have 2 tablespoons of grass-fed butter, Kerrygold butter. And she says, what I do is I'll get to that. That's why I don't do bulletproof coffee, is not for this video. I don't feel like bulletproof coffee is really that beneficial anymore. When a new person starts keto, I feel like if they start having bulletproof coffee the first few months, they're fine. That's great. That's a good way to help get your fat in. That's a good way to help you become fat adapted. But the more and more I approach people, they're starting to like what I have to say in this aspect even more. I'm learning how to relay my message better when I say this. The first few months are crucial for becoming fat adapted. The first few, I would say 6 to 8 weeks, is crucial for this adaptation phase. Some people can do it sooner, some people can't. And during those times, I do recommend having bulletproof coffee. I do recommend having maybe fat bombs on the weekends as a treat or something like that. But after that first 2 months of going through this phase, you don't need it anymore. Your body has become fat adapted. It's learned to tap into its own storage. It's actually starting to become more reliant on fat that's in your food than so much of the liquid fat that you're actually drinking. Maria Emmerich and me both talked about this in the past before. I did a live video with her that some of you probably missed on my Facebook. And bone broth really does help as well. It's phenomenal for healing your gut, and it's phenomenal for taking a new person from a stage where they feel kind of lost, going into new nutrition, and actually helping satiate them a little bit, helping build them up from the building block complex, from the collagen and stuff that's in it. Making your own bone broth at home with chicken bone products are probably the best thing that you can probably do. Now, in the beginning, it's great, but start coming off of it at the end of that 2-month mark, and you'll see that your results will stay continuous, and they may even increase a little bit. And then you stay that way, and try to stay that way the best that you can. You have the bulletproof coffees and stuff as a treat, just like CJ's Keto Kitchen. She said in her video today where she talked about carnivore, she realizes now that she's probably using artificial sweeteners a little too much, and that's what the 2 week or 10-day carnivore experiment has. And it was so refreshing hearing her say that because so many people look up to them. They really put out good content, and hearing her say that being on a 10-day carnivore experiment has made me realize that maybe I'm using artificial sweetener too much, and I should just use it as a treat sometimes. Maybe the bulletproof coffee and stuff like that is not whatever. She didn't say this part, but I'm saying maybe the bulletproof coffee and stuff would go hand in hand with that. So I think a lot of people need to realize that a lot of the fixation on the keto treats and the keto products and stuff that are out here are fine as treats. They're fine as snacks. Hi, Deb. Hi, Keto Diamond. Hi, Rob. They're fine as what they're actually intended for. Quick on the go if you don't have anything. But I find that more and more new people are getting sucked into this dogma of ordering boxes of keto treats and snack bars and stuff like that when it's not necessary. Start planning your meals like you plan your life. Start planning your meals like you actually care about yourself. Start planning your meals like you want to do something for yourself instead of these quick fixes all the time. And living your life day by day, even if it's your kids, work, whatever, if that's an excuse to not worry about the nutrition that's going into your mouth, maybe you shouldn't be so focused on everything else and start making more time for what's going on inside here, inside that body, so you can be available, so you can be more readily available for people later on in your life. I think that people call themselves keto when they don't actually realize keto is not all this other stuff. Keto is taking care of yourself. Keto is being cognizant of what's in your food. Keto was originally created back in like versions of it back. It's called the Banting diet. It was just versions of it back in 1860 that nobody even speaks about. You won't hear medical providers speak about it. You won't hear keto people speak about it. You won't see it on Facebook groups or any of that stuff. This was floating around as an actual cure or a possible relation to getting your health better back in 1860 by an undertaker with the name of William Banting. And some of the medical professionals even read back into the literature and stuff and relate the keto diet and similarities to what this guy was creating. And then the early 1920s was created for epilepsy, and it was a very strict way of eating. It wasn't, and then people slowly changed it. And in about 1940, there was a book called Why a High-Fat Diet. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It makes me feel good. It really does. I try, guys. I'm really trying. I don't make my videos to make other YouTubers upset. I don't make my videos to make other Facebook groups and stuff upset. I make my videos because I see too many doctors, too many people in general jumping on this keto train and running away with it because they know people are weak. They know people want the treats. They know people want the artificial sweeteners. They know people want the diet sodas. They know people want the food in their life that they can do without. And they try to go after it and they market that. They jump on that train and they ride it because they know that's what's going to help build them. And I remember people that were nothing back when I first got into this. Doctors that had 2,000 subscribers that were just barely anything at all. They weren't even really thought of. They were just another doctor out there talking about some keto thing that wasn't nothing to anybody at the time. And now look at them. They got 60, 70, 80, 140,000 subscribers. And if you look at their content then compared to what it is now, it's not the same. Back then it was all about being strict, caring about what you're putting in your mouth, living a nice, decent life where you're cognizant of hydrogenated oils. I have a video saved right now in my link that I'm actually going to post here where finally, after like 2 or 3 months of looking for this video, I finally found it from Dr. Berg. People thought I was full of crap when I was talking about Dr. Berg actually created a video telling people diet sodas are actually not that great for you. And even if you can justify why you should have them or why you could have them, maybe every once in a while it's a treat is okay. But yeah, I did, but I didn't get a chance to I didn't get a chance to watch that yet, but when I get off of here, I'm going to. I'm definitely going to. Um, but even Dr. Berg, Dr. Berg is an advocate for keto all day long. He loves keto. That's how he heals his patients. But Dr. Berg even made a video as like a year ago that says, even in there, everybody's focusing on, do diet sodas spike your blood sugar? Well, maybe they don't spike your blood sugar, but you don't realize you're actually spiking insulin. Anytime something sweet touches your tongue, that's a dopamine release from the brain. It starts triggering an enzymatic process in the body, and insulin will get spiked. It's not, you can't get past that. That's science. That's your body. Like when a guy touches a female that he's really attracted to, hormones and stuff start moving. You don't have to do anything. That just starts happening. That's natural. That's just how it works. Well, it's the same thing with sweet stuff. And when you touch food to your tongue, it doesn't matter if it's fat. It doesn't matter if it's sweet. Even though sweet enhances it even more, you start rolling inside your body. Things start happening. It's not like I can just put calorically dense stuff in my mouth, no matter what kind of macros it is, and expect my insulin not to get spiked. No matter what you do, your insulin is going to be impacted somewhat somehow. And I have the video that I'm going to post in the URL, or in the bottom of this link in the description. It states, Dr. Berg actually talks about it. It's a very short video, and he says, you know what? I'm just going to be honest with you. Yes, diet sodas do affect you. They may not spike your blood sugar, but they do affect your insulin levels. And if you're having them all the time, maybe you don't see a blood sugar spike, but you're actually producing insulin, and you're trying to make yourself insulin sensitive, not resistant. So if you're spiking insulin when it doesn't need to be spiked, and you're not consuming nutrient-dense food, you could be actually doing more harm than good. So that diet soda that you may have in the morning and then in the afternoon at night, maybe you should start cutting it back to 2 and then maybe 1. And then maybe see if you can go alternate days. Like right now, I didn't have anything today. I just had electrolyte water today, and I had my meal. That was it. And I'm fine. I love diet soda. I love Diet Dr. Pepper. I love Coke Zero, but I will not have it like that anymore. I'm going to get rid of it completely, actually. So there's another thing. I got some other stuff wrote down on here that I wanted to hit before I get off here. I don't want to keep you guys forever, but I was watching a YouTuber this morning. Again, I'm not going to drop names. She says to new people, you can have hydrogenated oils. You can have these different things. I mean, she went off on a complete rant because somebody was telling her that the product she was eating is not keto, which they were right. They were extremely right. But can you be in ketosis and not be keto? Yes, you can. I think this is where people like me are on board. This is like right up my alley. The guy that was telling her this stuff is exactly what I would have thought, but I probably wouldn't have said. She was talking about how the different types of oils and the different types of things that are in your food. She was, if I say too much, people are probably going to know exactly who she is, and I don't want to do that. So I won't continue actually bringing up the different things that was said because I don't want to harm anybody. I just want to relate things to what I was saying, or to my topics. And it does matter. All these things that are in the food and stuff that you eat, it does matter. The hydrogenated oils, the soy oils, and Hellmann's mayonnaise. That's why I was like, wait a second. I'm supposed to be this person that's out here making YouTube videos and teaching people about this stuff through my journey. Why am I still consuming the garbage that I would eventually recommend them not use? So I don't even eat. I have 2 bottles of Hellmann's mayonnaise that I absolutely love. I could probably eat this crap right out of the bottle because I love it. Well, you guys seen, I start making my own mayonnaise now. I use bacon grease, lard, eggs, lemon juice, white wine vinegar, and I make my own. And it's phenomenal. To me, it tastes better than the Hellmann's mayonnaise. This is where the difficult part comes in. This is what we don't understand. Can be very confusing to new people. This morning, there was another YouTuber that said she's got tons of followers. One bad video from her about me would probably kill my whole content, but I'm going out on a limb here and I speak the truth, so I don't really care. She made a video this morning about, do artificial sweeteners affect your blood sugar? Again, I'm going to post a video underneath from Dr. Berg that says maybe it doesn't affect your blood sugar, but it does affect you. It does do stuff to what's going on inside your body. It does affect your insulin levels. So blood sugar should not always be the thought at hand. Blood sugar should not be the first thing that people try to go after. If you ingest sugar, how do you get rid of the sugar? Insulin has to spike in order to get rid of that sugar and start packing it away where it has to go. It doesn't do it by itself. So if we're constantly doing things to affect our insulin levels, should we worry about our insulin levels before our sugar? I mean, in a sense, you want your sugar to be in check, but your insulin is what's going to have to control that. And if you're always drinking sodas and stuff all the time and you're affecting your insulin levels, what do you think is going to happen when your blood sugar does go up and you've been pecking away at that insulin production for so long? It's not going to be able to do its job like you want it to do its job. So the thing is, not just blood sugar, it's about what else goes on in your body. In this video this morning, she was talking about there are no conclusive studies that actually say aspartame does this and aspartame does that. And I had mentioned, look at the back of the can. Right on the back of the can, there's a warning label that says the phenylalanine that's in this product may affect people with a condition called PKU. PKU is like where there's a phenylalanine amino acid that's in bulk amount in the brain, and it can cause depression problems, anxiety problems. It can cause a number of problems with people with that condition. And if you further read in on what phenylalanine does to the brain in excessive amounts, it says it could actually start creating more depression problems without you having the PKU condition. Again, she said there are no conclusive studies that say aspartame affects anybody like this. What I did was I did 1 cup of bacon grease. I did a tablespoon of white wine vinegar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and then 2 egg yolks. But I think maybe next time I might want to put 3 egg yolks just to try it. And basically, I just really frothed it up really, really heavy in the blender, and I just put some seasoning and stuff in there so I can season it. And then I started slowly pouring the bacon grease in there as all the rest of the ingredients was. I actually have it up on my YouTube. So there's actually a list of what I used and another video actually fairly recently, so you don't have to scroll through all the content. There's another one that says, sweeteners are okay. One says sweeteners not okay. Ultimately, I would like my recipes to be used, but okay. Butter Bob sounds good. Let's see here. Yeah, it's about 5 days is what it is, because there's no crap in it. There's no preservatives. There's no... I know. But the recipe, from what I understand, is it's safe 5 days. It probably is actually longer, but people just don't want to attempt it. The person that actually created the recipe, I think, was Leanne Vogel. I know you guys know who she is. I think that was her that I got the recipe from. And then I just tweaked it a little bit. She wanted 1 full cup of bacon grease. I wanted to try a half a cup of bacon grease and a half a cup of lard to see if it would hold a better consistency, because it states in the recipe that if you put 1 full cup of bacon grease in the refrigerator, it's going to get pretty solid. So you're going to have to pull it out and let it sit for a second. But what I did was a half a cup of lard, because I knew it was soft, and a half a cup of bacon grease, and even the next morning it was still kind of soft. I was still able to spread it. So that's my take. Are you keto or are you in ketosis? If you're doing the best that you can, if you're trying to stay away from all the junk, and you're really making a health conscious effort to do your body right, I think you're keto. In my opinion, I think you are keto. That's keto to me. It's a very health conscious way of doing things, and it's trying to do the best that you can and trying to eliminate as much junk as possible that can affect your life. Are you in ketosis? Those are the people that just have whatever they want as long as they're producing ketones and they're benefiting from weight loss, that are just in ketosis. I don't consider that somebody that's keto. They're just in ketosis, and that's just my belief. Um, so with the video that I'm going to post, um, lard worked for me, and I think even 7 days after I tried some of it, and it tasted completely fine. It didn't make me sick at all. So my point here is to focus less on artificial sweeteners, focus less on the fat bombs and stuff. Start focusing more on getting your fat from what's attached to your food. If you want to look up, I don't eat plants anymore either, really. I just, mainly I'm carnivore. Every once in a while I might switch something in just to clean myself out. And as soon as I eat plants, as soon as I eat any kind of fiber, any kind of green material at all, I'm almost to the point where I have diarrhea for 2 or 3 days. Like my body just does not deal with fiber very well at all. It does not deal with a lot of vegetables very well. Predominantly, I'm a meat eater, and uh, stevia as well. Stevia is very safe for the body. Now, stevia is safe for the body, but if you listen to Thomas DeLauer's videos, he actually goes into the complete science breakdown, and I think he's the only one in a professional standpoint that actually breaks down exactly what stevia does to the body. And it's not just stevia, it's most of the artificial sweeteners that we use. And even Dr. Berg says, stuff like xylitol and things like that can be safe, but it's the aspartames and the sucraloses and stuff like that that just are not what people should be consuming. Um, Even at that, Thomas DeLauer covers that kind of stuff, and he says in the video, it's like when you ingest artificial sweeteners, they hit the tongue, release dopamine, insulin sensitivity or you start to produce some kind of insulin. It doesn't mean blood sugar goes up, but insulin will get produced. It goes down into your gut. It cannot all be digested right away. It doesn't all have the same sugar or alcohol content. So what ends up happening is it sits in your gut and it absorbs moisture, and it's like a giant compost pile in your gut. And that's why some people get that digestion problem, the diarrhea and the things like that after they consume artificial sweetener, because they just don't realize what's going on. Yes, maybe it's fine with blood sugar. Maybe it's fine even with insulin. But the digestive issues that it causes afterwards may be a concern. So if you find an artificial sweetener that doesn't do any of that to you and you continue to use it, sure, by all means, do your thing. But it's exactly what it is. When we started this way, when we started trying to be keto, we started getting to the point where we wanted to fix things that were going on in our life. We wanted to become a more whole food based, better version of ourselves. I think that's what most of us want. So the last thing that I want to do is focus on anything artificial going into my mouth, just because of its sensation that I can't get over, because I can't control myself to not want the sweet stuff, and realize that most of that is because of electrolyte deficiency. It's just, again, this is my opinion. Some of it's fact and some of it's opinion. Your body does not really like. I'll catch you later. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching, Miss Diamond. Your body does not like even a lot of artificial sweetener. Some people just abuse it way too much. So, one of my last topics is just about getting your nutrition from your food. Get your fat from your food. Try to do just like was it Dr. Einfeld, and who was the cholesterol doctor that was talking at KetoCon? Keto Savage was, or Keto Connect was talking about him, that every time he talks about stuff, it's almost about cholesterol and how inaccurate things are and how we gauge cholesterol. It's very poorly done, and a lot of people don't quite understand it exactly like it should be understood. So he was saying that, if we actually understood more about what was going on, we would actually start getting more of our nutrition from our food. It wouldn't be from stuff like, liquid fat and stuff like that. The girl that ended up in the hospital, that was her whole thing. Her whole calorie load, caloric load, all her fat and stuff was coming from bulletproof coffee, fat bombs, things of that nature. And that's why she ended up in the hospital. She was getting almost no electrolyte retention. She was getting no hydration retention. She wasn't feeling hungry like she wanted to eat food because of. I gotta plug this phone back in. It's starting to die. I didn't expect to be on for 36 minutes. Um, she wasn't. She wasn't getting the right nutrition, and she even said when I left, it was ironic how neither one of my doctors had anything bad to say about being on the keto diet. They were just telling me, why don't you focus on getting food? Get your nutrition from your food and stop worrying about this cramming so much fat in your coffee and stuff like that. And she said she actually later went back to it, and that's what she started doing. I'm gonna I'll post a video down here in the link so you guys can watch the video. There may be a few words or something off of what I said, but that's the gist of it. Is they literally told her, start getting more of your nutrition, even your fat and stuff, from your food, not so much drinking it. And Dr. Eric Westman has a whole list of things that when he started testing people on a ketogenic diet, he said, here's a 4-page list. Take this list and only eat things off this list and nothing else. You don't have to track. You don't have to worry about amounts. Listen to your body. Try not to eat more than 3 meals a day. Here's the list. Go do it. Almost every single one of them succeeded, eating off that list and that list only. There's more to it than just tracking. I mean, tracking is very important, especially for a new person, but there's more to it than that. Let's see, fat mom, bulletproof coffee. So my take wasn't to make anybody upset here. My take wasn't to make anybody feel like they're not keto. Maybe my take was to spike what's going on up here and make you think, am I doing the best for myself? Am I actually doing what I have to do to be the best version of myself? Or do I just simply want to be in ketosis because I don't want to do the work? I feel like people that don't want to do the work, people that don't want to look at the labels, people that don't want to do the best that they can possibly do for themselves, they're just riding the bench. They're just riding the bench. It's like a baseball player that has all this talent in the world, but he doesn't want to tap into it and use it. So what does he do? He gets paid $250,000 to sit on the bench and warm the seat while the other guys go up and actually play the game. It's the same thing. You can be in ketosis and not do the work and lose the weight, but not benefit from how powerful it can be because you simply just don't want to stay away from the processed keto crap. You know, processed food is not always junk food. Processed food can be natural food as well. You can have all the products in the world be put into something. And if you actually look up certain definitions of where you get it from, you can see that even natural processed stuff, it's taking multiple ingredients and putting it together to make a product. It can be raw and cooked. This is where our complications come in. This is where people don't understand how food affects their body. This is where elimination diets and stuff can start being very powerful. Being on a carnivorous diet for a little bit of time can actually explain a lot of things to you. Some of you guys know that I've been eating predominantly carnivore. It's explained so much to me in my life. It's explained that I don't have to listen to every single statistic out there about I need broccoli and I need all this other stuff. I need spinach. I get just as much potassium and stuff from the meat that I eat, if not more, per amount. You know, if I really want magnesium and vitamin C and all them other stuff, so I have liver, I'll have kidney, I'll have tongue, I have all this other stuff if I really want to. But it's just one of those things that I think people, if you started paying more attention to what you were doing and you started making a little bit more time for yourself, and you actually started looking and making yourself worth it. When you get up in the morning, I seen a lady on Facebook. I've been doing this now for almost 2 months, and what I did was I wanted to feel better in the morning when I woke up.
I've been losing all this weight and I've been trying to change my life and stuff like that. And I seen this lady, I don't even remember her name on Facebook. It was a Facebook clip. And when she gets up in the morning, she looks in the mirror and she says, "Damn, you're good looking. God, you have put all the pieces in the right place, and I thank you, Lord, for making me such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lady." So now when I get up in the morning, I look at myself and I said, "Damn, boy, you sexy. Look at all them pieces in the right place. Get on about your day. Go on with your bad self." And I leave and I go get my coffee and stuff, and I go on with my bad self. It makes me feel good. I go on and I mean, I say it out loud. I mean, I do it. It sounds silly, but it works. I just find ways to tap into my body, in my mind, and engage things that just have not been engaged before, to start appreciating myself and doing things for myself that I just never did. Everybody should feel that way about themselves. Are you keto or are you in ketosis? That's the topic. All right, guys. I don't want to hold you up anymore. I hope this wakes something up in your brain. I hope this makes you think about things a little bit different. And I hope that this message doesn't upset people. But if it does, and you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. But I think if more people thought along the lines of what's going in my mouth and how's it affecting me and what are the long-term effects. I was having this conversation this morning with this lady about the diet drinks. And I said, we know what's going on now. We know how our blood sugar is being affected right now. But we don't know how this affects us 5 years from now. We don't know how this affects us 10 years from now or 20 years from now. What if Thomas DeLauer is right? What if the artificial sweetener does sit in our gut like he says it does? What if it does create the compost pile analogy that makes us feel gassy and bloaty and give us diarrhea and stuff like those chocolates from Russell Stover's, where they used to have their old formula. When if you were stopped up, all you had to do was just go eat a couple pieces of their chocolate. Man, you'd be sitting on the toilet for a half hour. What if what Thomas DeLauer is saying is right? Think about what you're doing to yourself right now, and then think about that times 30 years, or 20 years, or 15 or 10 years. We don't have studies that talk about that stuff. All we know is a society where we are set on instant gratification. Everything in our life has to come from, are we satisfied right now? Can we fix this little fix that we're after right now? So think about what happens 30 years from now after consuming tons of artificial sweetener and tons of processed keto food. That as well. You know, we have such a healthy thing going for us, being keto and following a lifestyle, that so many people are coming into the game and they're keto-fying everything. And they're making it out to be something that it's probably not. That it probably should not be. Are the treats nice? Yes. Are the keto bars nice and the keto drinks and everything else nice? Yes. We all love them. But the more we keep doing this, the more they keep coming out, the more people keep latching onto that stuff, the more doctors keep changing their content because they want to fatten up that pocket over there a little bit. So when they walk down the street, they group like they got a bank hanging from their ass. Then sure, all day, keep buying the treats, keep letting them fill you up with full of bullcrap content and everything else. But are you keto or are you in ketosis? That's what you should be asking yourself. All right, guys. That's it. We're at 45 minutes now. I don't want to talk anymore because I rambled. I don't think I've ever been on this long. And I really appreciate everything. I really love the subscribers, and thank you guys for everything. What is it? Meteor Man? I appreciate that. I don't drink milk anymore. I was actually walking through Walmart last week, and I looked over in the cooler, and I seen that Walmart does have a carb smart milk now. that's only got like 3 grams of carbs per like 8 ounces, and it's chocolate flavored. But when I flipped it over and I looked on the back, it has like tons of sucralose and stuff in it. It's very low calorie, very low carb. So they actually make milk now where they strip all the sugar and stuff out of it. But I'm not into all that, man. Milk is very inflammatory to me, and it really screws up my digestive tract. I really like eating meat now, honestly. I like eating eggs and bacon and sausage and steaks and pork and chicken. Just like Dr. Berry said, I eat the gristle, I eat the skin, I gnaw the nub off the end of the bone because it's got tons of collagen in it that helps with so much in your body. Um, Anyhow, like I said, I'm out of here, guys. I want to stay up. Maybe we can do this again sometimes. I really appreciate everything, guys. Take care. Oh, Gloria, I'm just jumping off here now. You missed it. Go back and watch it, Gloria. Let me know what you think. Tell everybody about that book. All right, guys. I'm getting off. Good night.